Hello. It's been a while since I've had to do a voiceover, so I've had to redo this intro several times because I'm too socially awkward to think of anything to say. But yeah, this is just something I've wanted to do for a while. I reckon, hey, why not just record it as well, and then I'll have something to speak over. So yeah, I've it's not really a tutorial or anything. I'm just kind of it's a whole lot of the same for most of this. It's just me kind of eyeballing what I'm doing. I haven't actually used a chisel before for woodworking, so this is also kind of just me experimenting on how to work properly with the tool. But yeah, I just had the idea for a few days, and I'm not having to deal with college applications or robotics anymore, so I finally actually had time to do something in my basement for the first time in a good long while. Yeah, so I just reckon, hey, why not? It's something I enjoy doing, which is something that I've been having. It's something that's hard to balance when you have a lot of priorities going on at the same time, like schoolwork, and then college applications, robotics, music. It's just, and then on top of that, you gotta hang out with friends and whatnot. It's just, you don't have time for the things that you enjoy sometimes, and it can be pretty draining. And once you realize what you've been missing out on for a while, it just seems natural to do it. So yeah, that's kind of why I do these kind of things. It's just something I don't have to think about. A lot of the time I spend in school or interacting with other people around me is it's just using one part of my brain, and just using the other part for doing things like this, just geometric analysis of what you're doing, and just trying to intuit everything. It's a lot more natural, I feel. A lot of the things we're programmed to do are just, it can be exhausting, to not have an outlet for just kind of a more natural self. So I'd been missing out on that for a while. What I didn't miss out on was having to fix this stupid bench. I guess that's what happens when you order a bench from China. The screws just aren't actually threaded into the chucks. So that's good fun. I'm gonna have to see if I can Loctite those later or something. But yeah, I made a jump cut because I was going to be doing a lot of, this is a whole lot of the same stuff going on at the same time, and it's not really something that you can really, I guess, if you wanted to, you could be more methodical about this kind of project, but I feel like that just kind of takes away from it for me. So I just spend a lot of it just eyeballing and seeing where the grain takes me, and just taking things off gradually, and seeing where life takes me. It's kind of interesting comparing this kind of work to what happens in life, I feel, because it's not to be like a poet or anything, taking things out of context, making large connections and shit, but I don't know. I feel like we're all, in a sense, just kind of chiseling away, trying to find something. And, some of us find what we're looking for. Some of us have to make big, unexpected cuts, like what I just made right there. Took off way more material than I needed. And, sometimes you gotta work with knots. Sometimes you can't get around certain things. And, well, it can be hard at times to just find motivation to keep on doing it. Like, for me, this initially was going to be, I was going to try and make a moon, like a crescent moon, and I just realized taking off the material at the back was just going to be such a huge pain, and I realized that that would probably jeopardize the final product, because if I took off too much, if I tried to be too ambitious with things, then I might have cracked it or taken off way too much, and then it would have just looked like a flimsy banana. So, but it's also similar to a lot of things we do in our own lives, where we're just trying to figure out where things go, what to do next. It's you can't really see where the grain is most of the time, and a lot of us are just guessing. And I can't really make any definitive conclusions about where things will take us, because it's different for everybody. Everyone has different things to work with. Some people have better tools than others. And the other thing is, there's gonna be some times when you're gonna pour a lot of effort into something, and then it's just gonna break on you. Or you're gonna have to realize at some point, even if you've worked so hard on something, that it's not gonna be worth your time to continue doing that. And it takes a lot out of you to realize that you gotta let that go. But in the grand scheme of things, comparing that little chip of wood, that little section that you've been working on, to what you have envisioned as the final product, it's a choice that you gotta make. But I feel like there's something there for all of us, even if it's not what we originally envisioned. As long as you have the spirit to keep on going, I feel like that's the only thing that's really needed for this type of work. Just a spirit to continue, even when your tools aren't sharp, and when there's wood chips all over your floor, when your frickin' clamp takes forever to open and close. That kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know how invested I'd get into this kind of project, because it takes a while. And although I'm really happy with the final product that I got out of this, it's a lot of work, and good God, my wrists ache from hitting that stupid chisel for, must have been at it for like an hour and a half. And yeah, I still have not cleaned up yet, so maybe picking something less messy and intensive as this is might be a better project for the future, but I don't know. Kind of at this point here is where I just kind of decided I wasn't going to be able to get exactly what I wanted out of a crescent, so I had initially, on the crescent moon, I was thinking of putting a face on it, like a sleeping moon kind of thing. The kind of gist that I'm talking about, kind of thing you'd see in a bedtime storybook. I don't know why, but the prospect of having a face on it still kind of stuck to me. I still wanted to have that, because otherwise, I was thinking while I was doing this, like, what other things could I do with this if things go wrong? And I'm like, pretty much I can make a landscape, which is boring and would take way more work if I flipped it sideways and just like made it two sets of hills with a valley in between. That would be a nightmare to work out. So I just decided, it doesn't even really have to be anything. It can just be a face. So that's where I started working here, and it's I feel like just that's one thing that is kind of interesting about what we do when it comes to art. how we have a way of figuring out ways to put meaning in what seems meaningless, and how with this hunk of wood that I've just been slamming with a hammer and a piece of metal for an hour and a half, how it just looks like it doesn't really look like anything, but when you give it just a slot for a mouth like that, and then I start working on giving him eyes now. Now just like these simple facial features can express something. I find that that's kind of that's one of the drawing aspects of art, what draws people to it, because it really solidifies and makes concrete a lot of our experiences, which otherwise might not be validated. You know, a lot of the things happen to us in life that no one else is going to be able to ever see or feel, and having some way of remembering things, or some way of giving gravity and doing justice to the things that happened, I feel like that's what art does. Not just art like music and bullshit like this. But, yeah, I just kind of I slotted the eyes and the mouth at an angle, so I kind of looks like he was, I don't know, my mom said he doesn't look like a very happy person, and I said, well, he doesn't really have to be, I guess. It's kind of slotted downwards. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe he's tired. I kind of imagine maybe it was like an Ent from the Lord of the Rings, considering it's made out of wood and whatnot, and how they're always sleeping. I don't know. It means something to me. It'll mean something to someone else. And that's just kind of the magic of it all. The real magic, though, was that I didn't set this thing on fire, because I didn't think in advance of getting a bucket of water or something to extinguish it if it did catch fire. But luckily it didn't. So, and here I'm just putting on a finish to really give it a little bit more definition. I'm just using boiled linseed oil and just wiping it in. But yeah. I really like where this ended out. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm glad I made it.